Time Cats, go!
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Okay. So on Time Cats today, we are going to be discussing major spoilers, both with Doctor Who and with The Walking Dead. So if you have not watched either show yet and don't want spoilers, turn away now. You've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time Cats, go!
Batman lives! And Clara doesn't! Woo!
Yeah, Glenn's alive and Clara's dead.
Finally!
Finally, what? What? Finally, Clara's dead?
Yes! I liked Clara at the beginning, but I've just grown to hate her. And I wanted... I love Jenna Coleman. She's great at this, but like the character as written is just where she was just wearing so much on me, and I was so happy when I found out that the beginning of this series was going to be called the Magician's Apprentice, because that was clearly a title that meant she was leaving the show, but then it was announced she wasn't leaving the show. So what? So, but yes, I've.
Yeah, I'm wearing tired of the show's headrunner what's his name,
Moffat.
Stephen Moffat.
Stephen
Yeah.
Moffat.
And yeah, and apparently Stephen Moffat wants to thought that Don't Sleep No More episode was good, and he wants Gaddis to write him a sequel.
Okay, you want to know something?
But
They should make a sequel, but make it a good one. Make it a good episode featuring these monsters, because they had an idea there, they just executed it badly, and it was probably a bad idea to begin with. But you know what?
I think it was a bad idea to begin with. I think they should shoot that into the sun.
If you put effort into
If
you put effort into something, you can make it work. You can make it work. This idea that we can only make sequels and remakes to things that are good and don't need them, it's bad. So like, yeah, just.
But I don't think there's any salvageable idea there. I mean the premise itself is ridiculous.
Oh yes, frankly,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure anything that they could do with this is going to be good, or something, or something that could be done better with a different premise.
Yes. Well, it's all for naught, because they are definitely going to be doing this, and they're going to be doing it thinking that it was a good episode that people liked, I guess, for some reason.
I don't know, but anyway. So anyway, back on Clara. So anyway, with Clara gone, there isn't going to be a companion for the rest of the season, as far as I know. And for the Christmas special, we're going to have River Song again, and that's exciting. And also, I also wanted to say that Clara's death was episode was at least a better episode than the Pond's departure episode. And I wanted to say, it's great that River Song's back, because normally River Song episodes of River Song is normally when Moffat's episodes, when these episodes under Moffat's kind of peak. Usually some of the best episodes are the ones with River in them, but Angels in Manhattan notwithstanding. And Angels in Manhattan, I wanted to say, was the episode that really clued me in on the fact that, you know what, the Doctor is kind of an abusive husband. That was the first time that I actually noticed in their relationship that River was showing telltale signs of the fact that of symptoms of a battered spouse, and that still I'm not sure if that was put in deliberately, or if there's something going on in terms of the writers are putting some sort of regressive message, or what there is. But there is, Have you do you remember that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, so back in the Angels Take
Mm-hmm.
Manhattan, um River gets her hand stuck in this in this caught by this weeping angel, and the doctor gets very upset because he just learned that Amy is going to die, and so because of a book that River wrote, and that made it an unchangeable fact that's already set in stone, and so so he commands River to yank her hand out without breaking it because that would change the future, and and he screams at her about that, and she kind of seems. No, she kind of shrinks back a little from him when he yells at her like that, and it comes off as very much not a one-off thing, but like a cycle that they're used to. And then she does break out, and she kind of hides it from him. And again, hiding injuries is another warning sign. And then when he finds out, he yells and gets angry, and she, again, and she shrinks back a bit, and he makes excuses for him. Again, another common sign of the whole domestic abuse thing, and ultimately she makes excuses for him, and it's just not excusable. I mean, and the whole thing kind of shows off as comes off as more of a pattern of behavior rather than a one-off thing, and it's kind of troublesome to me. I've always
Hmm.
I've always been a bit spoiled. I've always found that relationship a bit soiled after that because it stopped. It, to me, it stopped feeling like this cute, quirky, weird Doctor Who romance thing, and it came off more as just glorified pattern of abuse. So I'm not particularly. So I'm gonna have to deal with that, address that with myself as we have another episode of River Song, and hope
Especially
that
with this doctor.
yeah, I am. Well, it really doesn't matter. That was that was something that should have been if they were doing that intentionally, that was something that should have been discussed more. And if they were doing that unintentionally, then maybe whoever wrote that episode needs to seek. I don't know. It was very concerning to me.
Yeah.
That's one of the more disturbing episodes for me and chilling episodes for me.
So,
Simply because it hints at some serious real life stuff going on, or real serious life stuff that's not necessarily actually going. That's not actually happening with the cast, but it's like there are hints of things that happen in real life there that are kind of just not being addressed, and it was really. Ugh. You know, I just don't like
so
it.
to change the subject to something a little bit more lighthearted, um, so while I liked this episode, I was disappointed by. I thought this episode was going to have the boneless in it. As I've mentioned before, they are they are one of my favorite new monsters simply by the premise alone, and
Those are the drawing monsters,
yes,
right?
the two-dimensional aliens, yes. Since Rigsy, the human in this episode was from that episode, and and you know the fact that a tattoo is the central MacGuffin, I figured that the boneless were going to factor into the episode, but
Yeah, that tattoo seemed like it could have easily come from them.
but I'm disappointed that this episode didn't feature the boneless, but I do like what they did regardless. So yeah, let's see what else.
Yeah, it was a decent enough
So
episode.
the only thing I have written in my notes here was that one of the aliens living on the trap street was he looked like Wolverine, and I think that if Disney reacquires the X-Men rights, they should probably cast that guy as Wolverine, because they probably won't be able to use Hugh Jackman again.
Too expensive now.
I don't I think it's just that he doesn't want to anymore.
Ah,
Um, eh, you know, every actor just tires of the part.
Yeah.
He wants to do other things. So yeah, I get that, but like unless they cast this guy, I don't see how they're gonna do that. You know the guy I'm talking about, right? He looked.
Yeah, the guy who was sniffing around on the ground and kind of looked like a
Yeah,
werewolf.
he looked like Wolverine, like the character.
I thought he was a werewolf.
I thought he was Wolverine. I honestly thought, oh wow, we've been joking this whole time that they're doing crossovers now, but this guy is Wolverine. This guy is straight up Wolverine.
The headcanon is too strong.
Yeah, yeah. Also, there's a Cyberman living on this street.
Mm-hmm.
I found that particularly interesting. All
Yes, yeah, especially how he was being given a shave by an Ood.
yeah, like all these other aliens are at least like I like I just don't have words.
But I think the biggest shot in the episode was well, obviously outside of death was the Doctor actually threatening to bring the Daleks down on them.
Yeah.
And that is not a threat I've heard the Doctor use before.
Well, see, how often do people intend to do? So, well, how often are his companions in danger by a force he can actually communicate with?
Good point. Yeah.
It's like usually when the Doctor. Usually when a companion dies, it either happens so suddenly the Doctor can't react to it, or it happens outside of the Doctor's control, or it's something that's being done by a Weeping Angel or a Dalek or a Cyberman or some shit that can't be reasoned with, so the Doctor doesn't give a shit. It's like, oh, okay, this happened. I'm angry about it. Can't get angry at anybody, though. Literally nobody... Literally, there is nobody to blame but myself. But here, this is something that's happening that's within somebody's control, sort of, except not. And the best part is that this really came about because of Clara's recklessness that's been built up throughout the whole series, or this one's anyway. Like,
but also there were a lot of episodes this season that kind of set her as dead before actually not. There was the there was the well, the first with them and Missy on Skaro, where they made it look like she died, but then they showed she didn't die. There was the Ghosts episode where the ghost doctor said that she was already dead, but she wasn't. There was the what was it? The Zygon one where
Zygon inversion, Zygon invasion.
Yeah, well, Zygon said that she was dead, but she wasn't. And now this one.
Yeah, this.
Where this time she actually.
This time she actually died.
But honestly, before Clara said it, I had already noticed that what I thought was a loophole myself, and I'm saying, oh well, she can just have the curse put on herself, and then the lady will lift it because she promised and guaranteed her that no harm would come to her there. So yeah, I thought that was a sufficient loophole too, and I was glad that Clara noticed what I noticed too. But as it turns out, she wasn't able to lift it again. So
yeah. So let's see, what else is there in this? Let's see.
Well, the Doctor has been kidnapped and warped away.
Yes.
He's a very Doctor.
So the premise of next episode is that apparently Peter Capaldi will be the only actor in the episode.
But there's someone's voice.
I don't know. I've known about this for several weeks. Apparently, Peter Capaldi will be the only on-screen actor on this episode. So, the Doctor is very literally alone now.
I'm not entirely certain. This sounds like another gimmick, like that whole machine. That does not bode well. I hope they can pull it off
I hope they
because
can pull it off. Also, because if they can, it sounds like it'd be pretty amazing. But I'm a little bit concerned because yes, the gimmick episodes so far have not turned out well.
you want my hope for this episode.
Uh, yes.
This was all, I was kind of hoping that it was already that it would be who I think it is in the first place, and if it is, that would explain why there would be no actors on the screen other than the Doctor, because this enemy does not have a body, and I'm thinking house. And by house, I don't mean Hugh Laurie's house. I mean that
Oh yeah,
actual
the asteroid. Yeah, I think
that TARDIS eating asteroid monster. That was
theoretically, Ashilda would be able to teleport him to that. I called her Ashilda. I should have called her the Mayor Me.
The house is not on the asteroid anymore. They abandoned him and was flung through time and space somewhere and could return. The initial scripts for that episode initially did call for there to make it clear that the house creature wasn't dead
Yes,
yet.
I've mentioned on this podcast that episode was meant to be a two-parter, as all of Neil Gaiman's scripts have meant to be.
Yeah. So but anyway, that house creature is still, I don't know, is it vapor at this point? But whatever it is, it's out there somewhere, and if it's taken over this dungeon or whatever, and that would certainly be compelling because it's these two minds going at it. One, and the Doctor would be quite literally in the belly of the beast. But I don't know. We'll see.
Another thing that made me think this episode was going to be a boneless episode was I was reading about the trap street gimmick as it was streets folding in on each other, and that sounded like a boneless to me, but apparently that's not what that was.
Yeah.
I found that to be a bit odd.
Well, it's another one of those perceptions. Actually, the ability itself reminds me more of what's his name, Prisoner Zero.
Yes, Prisoner Zero.
Prisoner Zero had a very similar ability to that. Made you not want to notice what something in plain sight. For example, a door in your house that has always been there, but suddenly you don't notice it anymore because Prisoner Zero is living in there. But yeah, so that's really all to really say about Doctor Who, except for the fact that again, the Doctor threatened to bring the Daleks down on Earth, which he was so pissed he was actually willing to threaten the safety of the entire planet. And again, that harkens back to the anger and the warrior that he can be, and we will see if he slips into that again during the remainder of the season. How many episodes are
Two.
left? Oh, two. So next week is the part one is the next part of the
Yep.
final two. I did not know that.
Yep.
Okay.
And well, see, the thing is that the Lady Me is teleporting the Doctor away for the safety of Earth. So like
Well, for her settlement.
so like at this point, nothing he do is enough. So it's like it's just, I don't know where the point I'm going is. Just never mind.
Okay then. So let's talk about.
Oh yeah.
Dead.
So
Glenn, despite all odds, survived, and
my computer is frozen. My computer froze. The left arm of the Forbidden One froze my computer.
Did you did you lose the
No,
recording?
the recording's still going.
Okay.
Anyway,
Let's
so
see.
Glenn lived. Uh,
Yeah, Glenn lived despite really any sense to it. Glenn fell into the middle, fell off the dumpster into a horde of zombies. It made no sense for none of them at all to bite them when they were kneeling down to eat that one guy. It made no sense for him not get bitten as well. And he also climbed underneath the dumpster, which was apparently right behind his head, even though he fell in the wrong direction for it. So he crawled under a dumpster that magically moved time and space. So apparently, it is now confirmed that Doctor Who and The Walking Dead are a crossover, and that dumpster is in fact a TARDIS. So there we go. There is some Time Lord in the Walking Dead.
Probably Glenn. I get.
Yeah, who knows? But regardless, I'm gonna stick with it that dumpster was a TARDIS because I watched the death scene of Glenn many times, and there is no way that dumpster was behind his head because he fell in the wrong direction for it to be there. So that entire scene makes no sense. Glenn should not have survived, and
Okay,
yeah, I like Glenn. I'm glad he's still around. But despite the fact that of all their clever shooting of trying to make it to make it feasible that it wasn't him being eaten there, the hints they provided him that in his death episode, the fact of the matter is, even if it was the body, the whole thing does not make sense. None of this makes any sense to me, and I suppose rather than getting upset about it, I'm just gonna have to live it and just say, all right, the writers wrote themselves into a corner, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to say here. There were better ways. They could have had Glenn not fall into pit of but I don't know. The scene doesn't work. The whole thing doesn't work with him alive.
Scott Gimple and Stephen Yoon were on the Talking Dead to discuss this. Apparently, Glenn's actor had just sequestered himself during the time between that episode airing and this episode because there were just so many people asking him, "Oh man, are you dead? Oh, I hope you're not dead." Apparently, he lost friends from this. It was just and just the whole Talking Dead. It was very interesting to watch because this was a very interesting moment in television history where Glenn's fate was unknown for 3 weeks, and now we know. So there's that, and yeah.
And we
Oh, and Alexandria and the wall of Alexandria fell. Uh, that was
yeah,
a biggie.
tower fell on it,
That was a
and
bit of a
now
biggie there.
yeah, because now Alexandria is going to have to be abandoned.
Oh yeah.
And that's interesting because that again, that's something that goes against what happened in the manga. I mean, in the comic.
Those two words mean the same thing.
Fair enough. Um, but in the comic, they live in Alexandria for a number of years.
Alexandria doesn't necessarily need to be abandoned, but I don't see why it wouldn't be.
Well, it's kind of going to be because zombies are flooding in. A horde of zombies are flooding in, and you can rebuild the wall, but you'd also have to kill all the zombies, and that's going to be more trouble than it's worth.
That my phone. I don't have a call. It was an alarm to take my anxiety medication. Gotta remember to do that every 3 times a day. Let's see.
So yeah, yeah, it was a decent episode of The Walking Dead, but I still can't get over how improbable and unlikely Glenn's survival is. It doesn't make sense to
Another
me.
thing that's unlikely is the green balloons that he releases to alert his friends that he's alive. Apparently, those were in the feed store or whatever that burned down, and that was going to be their symbol of their sign message. It's like, seriously? Not only were those balloons still there, even though the building burned down, but they were also able to be blown up and used. Wow. I may have just been understanding the scene incorrectly. I tend to do that.
Well, yeah, I didn't quite understand the scene either. There were these balloons just floating hooked to this tree. I mean, I guess if they'd removed them, no, none of this make that. I mean, that was one of the things that because there was just these balloons floating there. Now, someone would have had to tie them there recently because I have someone who, as a youth, kept the balloon for a while, and I know how balloons deflate naturally over time. And so those balloons obviously could not have been there for too long because if they'd been there for over a week, um, they would have wilted down to the ground, and also Glenn knew that helium was there, even though he shouldn't have. So again, you mentioned the fact that they'd done this in advance and left it there. Okay, I'm not sure how they would have got it there right there, but okay.
Skype notified me that one of my friends has is their birthday today, so I told him happy Burfle
Perfect,
Durfles.
perfect. Yeah, it's one. It was one of my. I think was it today or yesterday? It might have been yesterday that I had a friend's birthday. But yeah, birthdays. Um,
People like to be born, so it tends to be people's birthday every day.
so tomorrow is
Oh
Thanksgiving,
yeah, uh,
and I will not be doing anything really in particular special. I will be having a turkey TV dinner, but that's it.
I'm gonna be making a pizza. Um,
Ah,
somewhat coincidentally, it happens to be a chicken bacon or not garlic chicken parmesan. The one that I asked Glenn for on that seance episode. So
ah.
as it turns out, we weren't contacting the dead. Mr. Chode and Glenn were apparently just hanging out in a bar somewhere. I guess.
Oh, remember, Mr. Chode is purple
Yeah.
guy.
And speaking of which, Jessica Jones has aired on Netflix.
Yeah, David
David
Tennant is
Tennant, the 10th Doctor, plays Purple Man, the uh, the brainwashing, mind controlling, psychic rapist guy, and he is apparently.
Um, and apparently his character is just like the 10th Doctor. There are some people that are spinning this as this is the Time Lord Victorious.
So our Doctor Who Marvel Cinematic Universe crossover just crossed over with our Marvel Cinematic Universe Five Nights at Freddy's crossover.
Yes, everything
And
is
since now Doctor Chode is the Purple Man, that means that everything is just tied together. Everything is
yes.
okay.
The circle is complete.
The circle of is complete.
Sonic is
Sonic
real.
is real. Oh god! Oh god! Oh god! I just had this just wonderful, amazing idea. What if the five pieces of Sonic the Forbidden One? It's Doctor Who, The Walking Dead, Naruto Shippuden, uh, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Five Nights at Freddy's. By their powers combined, they are Sonic the Hedgehog, the Forbidden One. Sonic, obliterate! What the?
I was thinking, what about Sonic in Five Nights at Freddy's? What about a creepy, what about creepy Sonic Knuckles and Tails?
Oddly enough, I have seen a Five Nights at Freddy's clone based on SpongeBob, Mario, and a whole bunch of other shit. Not a Sonic the Hedgehog one yet. I'm sure there's one out there, but I haven't seen it yet. Oh, there's also a Mickey Mouse one. Can't forget that. That was the first one I saw actually.
None of these are actually good.
Oh no, they're all playable. The best two Five Nights at Freddy's clones seem to be Five Nights at Candy's, which seems to just be exactly the same. So you can't really fuck up something that's not broken. But the best one that actually changes up the mechanics. Well, I don't know. Five Nights at Candy's may be different. I just don't know anything about it except that the animatronics are cute. But there's also One Night at Flumpty's, which just goes full butt fuck on this concept. It just makes no sense, that game. It's good. It's good.
Also, it goes full butt fuck. That's gonna be your new that's gonna be our new our new catchphrase.
Time Cats. Time Cats. It goes full butt fuck. Yes. Okay. So One Night at Flumpty's. So, like, I guess you're in like a daycare center or something, and there's an egg and
less terrifying.
I don't know what this guy is with the brick for a head, but he's got a brick for a head, and like there's a clown.
They should have gone for an idea that involved creepy dead children. Creepy dead children, yeah.
When the lights go out, he's coming to give you a brand new face. I don't know.
So anyway, Xenoblade Chronicles X comes out in how many days now?
100. No! Don't tell me. I can guess. I can get this. Okay. 52.
9.
That's not fair. You're cheating. You're guessing when you know the answer.
I'm not guessing. I'm telling you the answer is
we're
9.
done playing now. Okay.
Yeah.
That game.
So in 9 days, Five Nights.
In another 9 games, Five Nights at Freddy's comes out of its long years of retirement. And releases a new game, Five Nights at Freddy's 5: The Fivening.
So Xenoblade Chronicles X comes out in 9 days, and I am very excited for it. This is the first game that I have pre-ordered since Wind Waker. And when I say Wind Waker, I mean the Nintendo GameCube Wind Waker. I'm not talking about the HD remake for Wii U. I'm talking about GameCube, which makes it only the second game I have ever pre-ordered. I am stoked for that game.
Hi,
Hello?
I'm sorry. From now on, every time anybody talks to me about Xenoblade Chronicles X, I'm just going to be mentally changing the words to Five Nights at Freddy's 5: The Fivening. Xenoblade Chronicles X is now Five Nights at Freddy's: The Fivening to me.
Yeah, I am very much excited
Somebody hack Smash Brothers to give Shulk a costume to look like a Five Nights at Freddy's animatronic, or like put him in a Five Nights animatronic. It's like they eat people, so like yeah, go with that. Spring Shulk, Shulk Trap, Shulk Trap, Shulk Trap. Rose, Shulk Trap, Shulk Trap.
That just reminded me of something. What was it? I just thought of something.
Shulk Trap.
Repeat what you were
I
saying.
don't remember what I was just saying.
Okay. Because I just had a thought. I had a thought, but I
okay,
lost it.
Hacking Smash Brothers to give Shulk a costume.
There was something I had a thought right before you said that. I had a thought, and now I can't remember what it was. Huh? Funny that. But yeah, yeah, I am really looking forward to that game, and so that comes out in another 9 days, and also we're pretty soon we're gonna have to change the format for this show. Because next week is the
mid-season finale of Walking Dead. So,
and in 2 weeks it's the season finale of Doctor Who. So we are going to have to change the format of
No,
the
we're
show.
just gonna go back to calling the show Time Cats until Doctor Who's
But
over. Then we'll just be called Cats. No, I'm thinking of renaming the show to Justice Cats.
that is one thing. But I was considering doing a crossover with having a crossover with since I do two podcasts, why don't we just do both together and call it Draw Cats?
Draw me like one of your
No.
French cats. I'm in.
Draw me like one of your French cats. That's what
I'm in.
But yeah, but anyway, I don't know. We'll have to discuss it. We'll have to discuss it with Simone and stuff like that. But yeah, or we could just start having people on as guests. I don't know if that would work. Or we can get a third co-host and talk. I don't know. We'll have to change the formula sometime. But,
We'll be calling it Guest Grumps. Guest
Oh,
Grumps.
God.
Guest Grumps.
Guest.
I keep joking with
oh.
Liam that one day we're just going to go full rip off of the Game Grumps and just have a show called Guest Grumps, because the Game Grumps, it was a running gag at one point that the Game Grumps would always talk about one day having a show called Guest Grumps, but eventually they just introduced a show called Grumpcade that functions along the same gimmick, but it's not called Guest Grumps. So technically, the Game Grumps don't have a show called Guest Grumps, and I'm always telling Liam that our show needs to be more like the Game Grumps. So have a show like just to have a show that the Game Grumps talked about having. It's a bad idea, but you can make anything work.
So you keep saying. I don't know if that's the case though.
No.
But yeah. Also
Okay, Rose. You like Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds is card games on motorcycles. That was a very bad idea, but they made it work. See?
but it wasn't. It wasn't a terrible idea.
Card games on motorcycles?
I mean,
Card games on motorcycles.
I mean, for a card. I mean, in real life it would be. But I mean, it wasn't. The idea comes. The idea becomes more. Becomes a lot more terrible when you realize that's how they power the city.
I forgot about that. I remember now.
Yes, they're playing card games on motorcycles to power the city because magical energy from playing card games.
I remember that now. I haven't actually watched 5Ds yet. I want to, but I forgot about the card games that power the city.
Yeah, it powers the and keeps the Yusei generators.
The Yusei generators.
Yeah, I think the Yusei
The generators are named after Yusei.
Actually, Yusei's named after them.
Okay.
Because they're I'm going spoilers.
Yeah.
They were.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just. Yeah.
Well, they were his father's invention, so.
Right. Yeah. I'm just astounded by how.
Also, I just got a message.
Just astounded by how bizarre this franchise is and has always been.
So let's see what the message is. Nintendo eShop Cyber Deals. Save up to 50% off on select games. Visit the Nintendo eShop. Oh boy. Want to find out what Nintendo has for sale right now? Let's see here. Nintendo is just announcing their eShop deals, and it sent a message to me on my Wii U. So we will now look and see what Nintendo has. Wait for the Nintendo eShop to load. And okay. So we've got cyber deals for most of are any of these most of these not reduced priced though? Some of these are reduced. Oh. They have games in their cyber deals that are not on sale, but are still being shown as on their cyber deals page anyway. And I'm not sure what that is for. Just to remind you that they're there. Although these prices do seem to be lower than I remember them, so maybe they are. I don't know. The Legend of Zelda: Wind Waker HD, Metroid Fusion, Don't Starve Giant Edition, Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, Shantae and Pirate's Curse, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Rayman Legends, Adventures of Pushmo World. Oh God, Pushmo looks like Mark Kern. Oh God. Kirby's Return to Dreamland, Tesla Grad, Chariot, Star Fox Command. Okay, that's that's from I might pick that up. $4.99. Yeah, I'm picking. I know what I'm doing after the show ends.
I'm doing card games.
I'm buying and playing Star Fox Command. Let's see here. Never Alone, SteamWorld Dig. Ooh, that's reduced sale to $4.99. Oh, that was a good game. Pikmin 3, Art of Balance, Trine 2. The Wonderful 101 only costs $19.49 right now. Whoa.
There was a Yu-Gi-Oh video game where instead of an Egyptian pharaoh, Yami was King Henry VII.
Oh God, what?
What? I
Why?
don't know. It was for PlayStation 2, Yu-Gi-Oh! The Duelists of Roses. It was a retelling of the War of Roses, but with Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
And yeah, I'm just so I had known for years that Yugi's name in that game was Henry Tudor, but I didn't realize that that was King Henry VII until I was watching The Tudors with my previous roommates and realized wait a minute, that's Henry Tudor. Oh 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 well, that happened. Okay. Yeah. So that's pretty confusing. Frankly, I would have liked to see more bizarre concepts like this. I mean, like what if Yami was the reincarnated spirit of a bunch of stuff? Huh? Let's go crazy with this.
So which console is the Star Fox Command? Is it for both 3DS and the Wii U, or just the Wii U? I see it here being played on the Wii U, but I see it here being played on the 3D. Maybe it's for both. Does it say anywhere which console? Huh. I do not know. It's
And in case I don't use the part of the beginning part of this recording, but for some reason do use this part of the recording, I'm doing this weird thing involving card games and spreadsheets. So I'm way involved in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. I'm very deep into this shit, and yeah. This this is a very bizarre franchise. This franchise has gotten very bizarre.
well, it's Konami, and as we all know, Konami is Konami, and Konami
Well,
is the
this
worst.
isn't
Hashtag
this
Konami.
isn't necessarily bad. It's just silly. Although, yeah.
Konami tends to be silly.
Okay, so considering, okay, you know what? No, I am going to say this is bad because consider this: Konami publishes the card game. Konami designs the card game, and the card game is a product of Konami, and Konami makes video games based on this card game that they make. But apparently, okay, so at this time, I'm only counting 2 games that Yugi appears in that actually use the card game's mechanics. Most of the Yu-Gi-Oh games before the Nintendo DS used some sort of weird adaptation of Duelist Kingdoms mechanics, and yeah, it's just so yes, I am going to say it's bad because these video games are supposed to be tie-ins with the video games. So like, yeah, it's like,
The card
yeah.
game, you
What
mean.
did I say?
You said these video games are supposed to be tied.
Yeah, video games are supposed to be tied into themselves. I mean, yeah, sure, that makes sense. No, it doesn't. What am I even talking about? Yeah,
Well, a game that wasn't tied in with itself would make more
yeah.
sense.
It's like a Doctor Who game, but it's actually Cooking Mama. I'm trying to think of
Or it's a game with a completely
I'm
disjointed
trying to
plot.
think of concepts that don't go together that have nothing to do with each other. But cooking.
Having a plot and never seeing it through, and just reinventing itself every chapter.
Okay, yeah, that works. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Our game started out as a first-person shooter. It ended as a gardening simulator.
I want to see that. Let's go for it.
And it uses the James Bond license.
So far, in all these in all of these canons I've gone through, Yugi has apparently only ever used Dark Elf in his deck once. The retrainment of Mystical Elf that swaps her stats so that she has 2,000 attack points.
Mm-hmm.
Yugi apparently only uses that card once. He uses Mystical Elf several times, but in only one game does he use Dark Elf. Only one continuity.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't remember Dark Elf. I guess that's why.
Yep. But I bet everybody remembers the Beast of Gilfer! Yes! Yugi apparently used that in every deck that he built in the anime after it appeared, but he only used it in video games like once or twice occasionally. Which annoyed the crap out of me because I'm putting together this spreadsheet. I have to manually change Beast of Gilfer's name to Archfiend of Gilfer every time he shows up. Because the card when it was printed was called Archfiend of Gilfer. Because okay, so like the original name of the card was Damon Gilfer, or Demon Gilfer, and
they don't call the cards the demon in this. They call
yeah,
them
they call them Archfiends. But see, nobody told the anime producers that. So the Beast of Gilfer was just called Beast of Gilfer. So the Demon Gilfer was called Beast of Gilfer instead. And so now we have this card that's got four different names. So that's pretty funny. Also, hilariously, I recently found out this is probably going to be one of my favorite normal monsters now. The Archfiend Marmot of Nefariousness. The Archfiend Marmot of Nefariousness. Because in Japan, it's called Demon Beaver. Just Demon Beaver. Just Demon Beaver.
Wow, they certainly gave him a grandiose name. Isn't it
Yeah.
a monster?
It's very
What's its attack
very
score?
bad. Very bad. I'm gonna get it now. I'm gonna get it now. I'm gonna type Demon Beaver and see if that comes up, because that's easier to type than. Okay, that didn't come up. So let's see. Here we go. Archfiend Marmot of Nefariousness. It's only level 2, 400 attack, 600 defense. Yeah, so it's not.
That's quite the grand name for
Yeah.
the card that no one would
Yeah.
ever use.
Yeah, Archfiend Marmot of Nefariousness, and it's got a counterpart, Obese Archfiend Marmot of Nefariousness.
And what's its stats?
Probably not good. Also, okay. Oh, slightly better. This one's level 3, attack 750, defense 800. So slightly better. Still junk. Recently, and this one is included in the structure deck Master of Pendulum, the latest one. I can't get it. It's called Demon Eater, and they translated it going full retro with the translation, they called it the Archfiend Eater of Nefariousness, and I'm having
What's its
trouble
stats?
finding it. I know it exists because I built Master of Pendulum in Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro to try to grasp pendulum monsters because I'm still having difficulty with the concept. It's level 4, 1500 attack, 200 defense, so not entirely horrible, but since it's an effect monster, the stats aren't really the most relevant part.
What's its effect?
Effect is if you control a spellcaster type monster, you can special summon it from your hand, and during your opponent's end phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can target one face-up monster you control and special summon this card. Oh, and you have to destroy the card you control.
That's not a terrible.
Yeah,
effect.
that's not a terrible effect. It's again, it's in Structure Deck Master of Pendulum, and Structure Decks by their design have to have some good cards in them. So, and this card it's basically a badass version of the Archfiend Marmot of Nefariousness. So, yeah, I don't know why this happened, but it did, and I love it. Archfiend. Oh wait, no, better. Its name isn't Archfiend Eater of Nefariousness. Its name is Nefarious Archfiend Eater of Nefariousness. So they add.
Nefariousness is
Yes.
twice.
So
Wow.
they gave it the grandiose Marmot name and added in some redundancy for additional lunacy.
Nefarious Archfiend, Nefarious Marmot, Nefarious of Nefariousness, Nefarious. That'll be the next one.
I wish there were more beaver monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! because okay, so Liam's channel is called Beaverhausen Productions, and so I want to have a beaver deck, but there's only there. Now that I know that Archfiend Marmot is actually a beaver, that means that brings the total of beaver monsters from 1 to 4, but only one of them is any good. So, yeah, I have the same dilemma when I want to make a penguin deck because there's only a couple penguin monsters. I don't remember how, but I was able to make a good penguin deck. I kicked Liam's ass repeatedly when we played Yu-Gi-Oh! Together.
I remember that.
The penguin deck. You do? Ah, yes, good times.
Yeah, the penguins have some interesting
Yep.
effects. They're very good at splashing. I seem to recall.
I thought the term was bounce.
Bouncing, right.
Yes, Penguin Soldier will always remain one of my staples. I'm putting together a deck now, and I'm probably going to work on that after the podcast is done recording. Marmot of Nefariousness. Marmot. They couldn't call it Beaver. I don't know why they couldn't call it Beaver.
Were they afraid of jokes about
probably. Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged Series made plenty of jokes about beavers and vaginas.
Oh
Have you
God,
not watched Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged Series?
Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, beavers. Donald Trump has tweeted out a picture of him as Pepe. Donald Trump Rare Pepe. Oh dear Lord. The Donald Trump Rare Pepe. Oh my God.
Donald Trump has been made aware that memes make people vote for you. So that's not exactly how it works, Donald Trump, but A for effort.
Yeah, as it turns out, what makes people vote for you is being horribly racist.
Yes.
And being a candidate that most resembles Hitler. I guess before we go, we can go into a bit of politics. Have you been hearing what Trump wants to do with our country?
Racism.
Oh, again, a lot of people compare people to Hitler, but there's few times where there've been a more apt comparison. He wants to round up undocumented immigrants, harkening back to a plan that we did back in the 1950s, that was known as Operation. I am not going to say that word because it's a slur for Hispanic people. But yeah, that kind of tells you how bad it was. The fact that there's a slur around it. But yeah, it's So there was it and not only named as a slur. It's just very offensive in that way. But also the fact that a lot of people died under that policy because we dropped people off in the Mexican desert without food contact or water, and a lot of people just died out there in the desert, and we just deported them into the desert so they can die, and a lot of people died under that policy, and Trump wants to reenact it for 12 million people. And of course, if as president, he can't just simply deport people. There's a whole process where they have to be processed first before they can be deported. So I've talked about the fact that not only is he going to be having these people round up in the middle of these nights by federal agents, he's probably going to put them in camps. And yeah, that should be enough. But he also wants Muslims. He wants a Muslim registry database where we register all the Muslims because apparently very much similar to a program that Hitler had for the Jews. Not entirely the same, but it's a modern day 21st century variant of it, where all the Jews had to have cards that identified them as instead they'll just have a huge database. Instead, our government will just have a huge database of all the Muslims in our country, and then he's actually retweeting. He's actually been retweeting propaganda, anti-black propaganda from actual real life Nazis, modern day Nazis, neo Nazis. So yeah, Trump is not a joke candidate. He's actually very terrifying, and yeah, it would not be good if he won.
Why does this get worse every year? Every election,
The Republicans run someone worse and worse. And now they're basically
was last election Mitt Romney and Roseanne Barr, or just one of them?
Okay, last election the Republicans ran Mitt Romney. The Democrats was Obama, of course. The Green Party ran Jill Stein. The newly formed Justice Party ran that governor from, what was his name? Those on, and the Peace and Freedom Party ran Roseanne Barr.
Okay, I actually had a nightmare one day of Mitt Romney winning. So yeah, Mitt Romney does not compare to Donald Trump, because Mitt Romney was an asshole, but none of his policies actually sound literally Hitlery.
Yeah, no, he was absolutely a corporate stooge of high caliber. I mean, he was very very much a Reaganomics type of person. But yeah, he wasn't Hitler.
Yeah.
The fact that we're praising him, what is it?
Damning by faint praise.
Yeah, death by faint praise. Yeah, but the fact that you can say, well, at least he wasn't Hitler.
At one point, Godwin's law actually applied, but now it doesn't, because after as of a couple of years ago, for some reason, there are actually people who are literally Hitler
supporters. Yeah.
No, they're basically Donald Trump wants to institute actual things that are in common with Hitler. So like he's doing this.
Well, I mean, the Republican Party has been fascist for a number of years.
But this is literally Hitler.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Republicans have been a fascist party for a while. They love to throw around the term fascist, but most of what they call fascist is actually anti-fascist. Particularly when they call liberals fascist, it tends to involve calling liberals fascist because they support some sort of policy that's anti-racist or anti-bigot. For example, recently there have been some series where people were boycotting the idea of Jermaine Greer, the TERF, being speaking in that on that one university in England and or in the UK, but Cardiff University, I believe it was. But conservatives have been saying that have been calling that that college students are the new fascists, and that shows they have no concept of what fascism is. While certain kinds of government restricting free speech could be considered fascist, if government potential, although again this isn't government, and that's another thing that people need to understand is that this wasn't government. This is people protesting, which is part of what democracy is in some cases, usually. But basically, that's actually a core value of democracy is people being able to protest. But these are people protesting someone with very disgusting views because, again, they're a TERF. Trans-exclusionary radical feminist, for those who don't know what that is. And it's not a slur. So they had this protest, and conservatives were saying that these college students were acting like fascists. And no, actually, the government in fascist regimes, they're generally one of the common threads between them is that they're misogynistic, they're extremely bigoted, and they make out enemies of the state through way of marginalized people, and they kind of demonize them. So to make measures like, say, ones in America that would to enact measures that would prevent, say, hate speech from, say, black folks or really any marginalized groups, be it race or for other means. It would not be fascist, but rather anti-fascist, because it would. There are ways that it could become fascist if the government government goes too far into policing it, because a police state is also a symptom of fascism. But the fact of the matter is, as a general principle, opposing racism or CIS sexism or anti-gay bigotry and what have you, or misogyny, all of that would actually be anti-fascist.
But this is Thriller Night.
But yeah, the Republicans have over the years, in some form or another, have adopted all 14 tenets of fascism as part of their own party, and now they've dropped the pretense and are just nominating Hitler.
Good times. It's not good times. Why is this happening?
No. History repeats itself. Actually, if you want a complicated explanation of that, this is all a result of well, actually, someone did a thing about how this is a thread of the Southern strategy that goes back to the days of Nixon. So yeah, thanks Nixon, thank you, and fuck off. Yeah, not a good time for American politics right now. At least, hopefully, Donald Trump won't win because to be honest, anyone could probably beat him at this point. But in the general election, the primaries, he might pull it off, but he probably will not win the general election. If he does, yeah, that would not be good. But anyway, yeah, you want to close up the show?
Hamburgers.
Next week. on Time Cats hamburgers.
Next week on Time Cats,
Hamburger.
nothing can kill Ronaldo.
Dun 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 dun.
Hamburgers.